What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Other Side of the Firewall podcast, where we talk about the latest and greatest in cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and as always, I'm joined by Shannon Tynes.
What's up? What's up?
And special co-host Ieshea Hollins.
Hello.
What's going on? So Levon can't make it this week. We asked Ieshea if she could pop in, and she graced us with her presence. Please tune in to Wednesday's episode where we have a very good discussion on Microsoft. Ieshea is a part of the discussion. Obviously, today we're going to do the weekly rundown. So we talk about a bunch of different stuff. A longer form podcast. Tune in Monday and Tuesday where Shannon and I discuss some stuff the DOJ did with the dark web to shut down some drug running, as well as on Tuesday we discussed Android and how there's 151 apps out there which could be stealing your data. So definitely tune in for that. This episode, again, this is a very long form. Please stick through it. We go a little bit longer, so those other episodes are roughly 10 to 12 minutes, right? But this one we go for a little bit, decompress, get some stuff off our chest, and just talk about our week. So with that being said, I give it to Ieshea. How's your week been, and what have you been doing?
Hi, Ryan. Thank you so much. I'm so pleased to be here. It has been, it's been a great week, though. We've been wrapping up National Cybersecurity Awareness Month. So we know like October is all National Cybersecurity Awareness Month. And so we've had conferences. We did a conference, or I hosted a conference in the Texas area entitled The Techdemic, where we actually talked about, some of the impacts that the pandemic had to our businesses, with regards to having to take all of their employees. They went home, they went online, right? And so you had to start dealing with all that came with making sure, were the VPNs right? Were they on the right network? Is there still privacy around their data? Do they have enough bandwidth? So there were so many things that we kind of talked about. We talked through, some of the things that are going on with the Department of Homeland Security, so it was some good topics. We even discussed like Zoom fatigue, how that is impacting our workforce, right? Because it's like, we thought we were tired in the office going from meeting to meeting to meeting. And now it's Zoom call to Zoom call. And all of the ways it's, it tires your eyes. It makes you're way more active, right? You having to focus and all of that means. So it was I think it was a really good event, well attended. So that just was one of the things that I got into this week. The other thing was in my just working with various people as I talk through cybersecurity. And I've said this a couple of times on your show when I've been on, has been, just not having the understanding what cybersecurity is and how it impacts us. We hear the word, we may or may not know the official definition of what cybersecurity is, but what we don't do is, how does that affect me? So it's like, can you make it make sense for me, right? And so what I did was I created a course where we are teaching initially, and that's the first one, was to teach parents what it meant to, have these conversations in our home around internet safety for our children. And so we're dealing with everything from, what does it look like if your child is being groomed? One of the things that I said in my class today, we have a whole show called Catfished, right? Where there are adults that are having conversations with other adults and actually being fooled that these are real people. So if an adult can fool another adult, can you imagine what these adults are doing to young minds that don't know that they are logged in and that they're having conversations with a predator? It's like, but these are things that when you hear it, you didn't think cybersecurity. But as I talk to you guys, is that not a cybersecurity issue?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Exactly. So, and that one, like I said, is grooming. And so what I wanted to do is just kind of, we take it and we work we're going to do it for 4 weeks, 4 straight weeks, but we work every week on a different topic of how it impacts the parents, how to tell the parents how to have these conversations, educate the parents, and then the parents, once they're educated, now they can go back and they can have educated conversations with their children. And even some of the topics, they are broken down based off the age group, because one thing we know is, you have your children at a certain age, 0 to 10, they listen to you. Mommy and daddy are still heroes. They're still, good people. And we could, we want mom and daddy's attention to play with me. And then you hit an age, that 11 to 13, where the teachers and, you got a little, some influences, but they're still listening to mom and dad. But then by the time they get to high school, they're not listening to us anymore.
Can't tell them nothing. Can't tell them nothing.
You can't tell them nothing. You're right. And so with that, what we're trying to do is, we create an advocacy group, an environment where the kids are educated enough where they can start having these conversations amongst themselves. And so it's, at that point, we're creating that dialogue and those programs where those kids can listen, tune in, learn what they need to learn, but also, how do you have it in your home? I talk about, we have a fire safety plan. If there's a fire in your home, you know how to get out of your house. We have a tornado plan or a hurricane plan, depending on where you live, a flood plan. But with the way we're online all the time, and the way the internet has changed our homes and technology has changed our homes, do we not need an internet safety action plan? And I feel that we do. And so we have created one at Dorensic, and we're now rolling that out to our consumers.
Okay. All right. And what platform can people watch the material?
So we are on Facebook, and so we have a Facebook group. Once you join the class, our modules are being taught. So once you, purchase the program, you can get your modules, and we will release your modules on Teachable. And then, but our Facebook group and various things, and all the way you can kind of purchase and get a part of it is through Facebook. So we are on the Facebook platform.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of your initiatives pop up on my my LinkedIn timeline.
Yes.
I was like, okay, all right. Like, they all have catchy titles, right? I'm just like, man, my thumbnails are terrible. They're very literal. If you look at how things have changed over time, like the first, I would say maybe quarter of the episodes, I try to come up with something catchy. But after that, I'm just like cyber talk, cyber talk too. Like I keep it very, very simple, but techdemic. I like it. I like it. So that's something that catches people's attention, right? They're like, oh, okay, I get that.
I'll tell you what, though. I'll tell you what I learned from Zoom, right? Is that for whatever reason, people don't know to not go to the bathroom when they're on Zooms. Like, there's all types of viral moments. Like, I saw this when the pandemic was kicking off. People were like going to the bathroom and like showing it on there, and it's just like, wow, y'all don't know how to like at least turn the screen away or anything, man. Like, what's going on?
No, people out there, wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, I never got to the point of Zoom fatigue. Thank God. When we were in the midst of it at my job and we were working remote, we had fewer meetings by large. The people just you would catch people in a meeting, which was fine, right? Because people had stuff to do. Their families didn't have school and things of that nature, so people had to do other things. But you hear people in car all the time, like going to the grocery store. They got the kids in the back, taking them somewhere, something like that, all masked up. So I actually enjoyed that period. But I know now, like now I'm back full time, but I have friends who are still remote, and there's like they brought the pain to the remote work. Like they couldn't hold out. They're like, no, we need 18 meetings regardless.
Exactly.
So there
Exactly.
is that.
And it was, I mean, they were already doing a lot of meetings, but yeah, a part of it is feeling like you need to catch up for that time you lost.
Yeah.
There is the overcompensation from some organizations because we've all heard the arguments whether or not we should work from home or not work from home. We've had the ability, the technology has been around for years and years.
Yeah.
So the ability to work from home, some of it was just some companies don't have a work from home preference. They feel like you get less out of your employees if they're at home. But then there's an argument from some that you get more from me when
Yeah.
I'm at home, because we really lose that sense of when to clock out and when to clock in.
Right. Exactly.
And that's a really that really is a really big issue, because employers will take advantage of that, but also it gives you that sense of you're working around the clock, which is, and then we're in a pandemic, so you can't really vacation the way you need to. So this lack of unplugging is causing issues that will have adverse effects down the road. And so we need to start, with the having our organizations have these conversations sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, because even though I do go into work nowadays, 'cause I'm a very small population, we're pretty much we've beyond herd immunity, right? Government, we had to be vaccinated. But I've been called out for my timestamps. Like somebody will be like, "Hey, why'd you send me an email at 10 o'clock at night?" And I'm like, I had nothing to do. Like, so I caught up on this spreadsheet and I pushed it to you. You had to respond. But I need to get off my plate, right? But that's not healthy. Like, when do I unplug?
That's right.
But I want to go back to something you said about the groom, and I thought that was very interesting. Because we have, for the most part, we have no idea who our kids may be communicating with online. So I do a test from time to time with, like, my son plays like 2K and other video games with people, and I'd be like, hey, I walk in the room and like, cut your mic off. Like, I get the gesture from cut his mic off, and I'm like, turn the sound off so I can hear the person he's talking to. And 9 times out of 10, it sounds like a child. Like, he's 13, voice is changing. But every now and then, like, that's a grown man. like why are you playing with this dude? Like,
it could be Reggie. It could be Reggie. It could be Reggie from Bad Boys.
It could be Reggie from Bad Boys. But yeah, that is definitely a concern of mine. Like my daughter isn't really consuming, like, she's older. She doesn't really consume a lot of social media. Hers is more not talking to people, but just watching things. So I tune in from time to time on that. But my son interacts with people. Like, he games hard when he's not in class, right? So that always is a concern of mine. So I think that's a very good topic to bring up nowadays. Like, because before it was already a thing, right? They were already playing games with people that you didn't know. But during the pandemic, when he's at home, like, he's between classes, he's able to actually pick up the sticks and play video games as well, and it's even more people that he's playing with, right? So he's consuming even more.
Yeah.
So I definitely think that's a very salient point that you brought up. So definitely tune in. All the links, like, you have to give me all the links so I can put them in the description, so people can get to your material. But with that being said, did you do anything to decompress during Cyber Awareness Month? You read a book, anything?
So tonight I had the pleasure of taking my daughter to her first soccer game. So it was FC Dallas v FC Austin.
Okay.
And it was actually a good time. Like, I didn't know how I was gonna like it. It's hit or miss.
Right.
You're outside, it's kind of cold, the weather's changing, but she's in love right now. Like, that's her thing. Like, she's so in love with soccer. And so we got out there and we were able to watch it. And I know this is probably going to get me really kind of beat up. I'm on a show with some guys, but I actually liked it more than football, because I was like, you can understand it better. Look, I knew I was going to lose somebody. Shannon was like, no. But I mean, they score less. So yes, you do have to deal with, you're out there and you're watching and, you don't quite get as many tackles and stuff like that. But it was easier to follow. Like, it's not second down, push back.
Right.
So I was able to enjoy the game a little more. The questions that my daughter was able to ask me, I could at least answer those, because I'm always intimidated at a football game because I really can't really answer as many questions. I'm not that football chick. I never got into it. I tried, but on a brighter note, FC Dallas won. So woo-woo.
Okay. That's what's up. So my two sons played soccer. So RJ grew out of it. Wasn't really his thing. But Mason, our youngest, he really enjoyed it. But then the pandemic hit. So now we need to get him back into it, right? Now people are starting to get, vaccinated and all that good stuff. So I enjoyed it. But like at that level though, they're just running, everybody's chasing the ball. So it's just a line of kids all following each other around the field. It's cute. But you only have like maybe one kid who's actually out there scoring.
I called it herding cats. So my older two children, I coached their soccer teams, right? And I don't, I had to read the rule book, soccer for dummies and whatnot, because I don't follow soccer like that. But it was like herding cats. Like you even got the goalie that's running out there, because young kids just want to kick the ball. You know what I mean? Like, no, we're gonna rotate. You will get your chance to do that, but you need to stay in the net right now. And they don't want to hear that. They're like, no, I want to go kick the ball, and they just start running, do whatever. But no, you know what, Ieshea, soccer is not my thing, you know what I mean? But more power to you. And the time spent with your daughter, that's what really matters, right? Like having that quality time is what it really goes for. Like for me, I'm not a baseball fan. Like I don't like watching baseball on TV, but if I go to an event, like a live event, I like the atmosphere more. I like being there with the atmosphere better than just watching it on TV, right? Because there's always that stuff that they don't televise that you see, like the stuff in between the innings they do to keep it fun for the crowd and things of that nature, with baseball. And they probably do the same thing with soccer. I don't know, because I don't watch soccer, but I'm guessing. I don't know. But I'm glad you had I'm glad you had a good time, and FC Dallas won, right? So that worked out for you.
There you go. Oh, that's what's up. What about you, Shannon? How's your week been?
Oh man, I actually did get to decompress a little bit, man. I actually this past Sunday I went to the movies. Me and the wife went out, caught a movie. We watched No Time to Die, the new James Bond movie, which is pretty good. It's kind of long. It's 2 hours and 43 minutes, I think, is what it was. I was like, man, you could have cut some of this out. But you know how I get down, right? Like I need people getting punched in the face immediately. You know what I mean?
Right.
Immediately and constantly. Like I need that. You know what I mean? I need it in my life. But but no, it was good. It was not the worst one that Daniel Craig has done. But it probably wasn't the best either. But it was a good movie. And again, it was out spending time with the wife, right? Even though it's in the movies and we're quiet watching stuff, but it's still just a fact of just being there to in each other's company. That was pretty good. I'm still in my documentary phase, right? So like I'm watching stuff on Netflix. I watched this documentary called Class Action Park. If you've never seen this thing is off the chain.
Oh, okay. I've heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah, in New Jersey, there was this park called Action Park. Back in the 70s to like the mid 90s, this place was open. And this guy that owned this place didn't care about any safety rules or anything. Like people were dying at this park, right? And like getting seriously hurt at this park. And they have a documentary on, actually it was on HBO Max. That one was on HBO Max. It was called Class Action Park. And man, it was off the chain. You're just like, wow, like they really did this. Like people just getting skinned up, and they were spraying them with like this iodine alcohol concoction, and then send them on their way. They'd be like, hey, here you go. You're good to go now. So now they're coming out of this medical infirmary shack all orange, from getting sprayed down. Yeah, it was wild, man. Watched on Netflix the movies that made us. So like all these popular movies and whatnot, they talk about how they're getting made, like the directors and stuff like that. Those are pretty good. But yeah, I got a few of those in, and that was about that was about the gist of it, man. A couple things, I always try to get my football in, right? Not my soccer. Sorry, Ieshea. Not
Right.
my soccer. My football.
I'm good.
But no, that was pretty much it for me, man. What about you, Ryan?
So I did some studying. I actually squeezed some in. So I did the Azure 2-day boot camp through O'Reilly. It was okay. Like, so I'm I don't want to knock it, right? Like if you're like brand new to it, you may have gotten something out of it. It was like in your case, I felt like Shannon, it was a little too talky, not enough demonstration, right? So I went on to do some stuff myself. I'm doing a video series now that goes through each module and kind of breaks them down. I like it so far. Like it's different. Like I don't know much about cloud, so I like to be able to speak intelligently about all the different sectors. So now cloud is getting a rotation in there. I don't know how far I'll go. Like I probably plan to get 2, maybe 3 certs before I get out of here in cloud, just so I feel more comfortable in it. So I'm doing that. I actually signed up for this Boots to Business class, 6-week class. It takes you from cradle to grave on writing a business plan and how you secure revenue for your company and all that stuff. For those people who are transitioning out of the military, it's a service that's provided that you should jump on sooner rather than later, because 6 weeks is longer than you expect. So I looked at the calendar. It's actually over 9 weeks because of holidays. So I was like, oh, this is perfect. Like stretch it out, give me some downtime in between. So I'm doing that. Just curious, right? Like I've been working for somebody my entire life. Like what would it look like to work for myself? Obviously there's danger in that. So I'm a very risk adverse type person, but I just want to, just see what it would take to transition into working my own schedule, my own time. Like the pandemic is definitely shown me that time is precious and definitely valuable. So how do I get more time back in my day to be with my family type situation safely? Because again, working for yourself is dangerous. Work for somebody else, you can blame them when things go awry. So, but just seeing. But if you're listening, you're a recruiter, don't stop recruiting. I did not commit. I'm just taking the class. That's all I'm doing. still need a job. So those are the 2 work related things I'm doing, or study related things I'm doing. But I actually got it in on the media. I watched Dune, so I knocked it out. Shannon, I don't think that's for you. There's some really good fights, but they're few and far between, and they're ramping up to bigger fights, right? So you're gonna get a lot of talking.
They did that one in 2 parts, right? So like I heard, like when they did the first Dune, they squeezed the big book all in one movie. Apparently they didn't do that this time, right? So I knew by the trailer it wasn't gonna be for me. I was like, there's very little fighting. Why is Aquaman not lifting stuff up right now? Is what I was thinking.
They got some good fights in there though. But yeah, there's a lot of exposition. They're trying to give you the lore and all that stuff. I didn't read the books growing up actually, and I never saw the movie, so it's my first time in that universe. I enjoyed it. I mean, I see potential there. It's going to be at least 2 movies, if not 3 or 4 or whatever. It's different. I say that it's definitely sci-fi. It feels like what Star Wars was based on. So it came out before Star Wars, but it feels very Star Wars like. So I watched that on HBO Max. What else did I watch? I watched Star Trek Picard. Like I'm deep into that one. Like, so as a kid, I watched Star Trek Next Generation. So you had Captain Picard and all those people. So this is them, I don't even know, like 20 years later or something like that, 20, 30 years later in far future. It's really good. Like the cameos, like you'll be watching, you'll be like, I know that character. And then they'll do like a flashback or something like that to remind you who they were. I'm like, okay, it's real nostalgic for 80s, 90s kids. I would suggest watching it if you're a Star Trek fan. But yeah, just randomness, right? Watching the Boondocks, stuff like that. Like whatever it takes to decompress after work. You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna play a game. I never wind up playing them. So I usually wind up YouTube or Netflix, Amazon Prime. Oh, that was the other. I watched a movie yesterday called Vivarium. It's got Jesse Eisenberg, and I can't remember the actress's name. She's I think she's Irish. Irish director. Very weird. I don't know if you'd be down for it. I'm big into sci-fi. It's a sci-fi horror, but it's not scary. It's more creepy, and very little action. Shannon.
Well,
but
if you say it's weird, I'm staying away because
yeah, I liked it. I liked it. You know, I like the weird movies though.
Yeah,
the weirder the better for me. But it mirrors a lot of U.S. stuff though. Like that's what blew me. Where they're not specifically talking about these themes, but it talks about the housing crisis. It talks about suburban life. It talks about the influence you have on your child. Like it talks about how that influence goes away, and then it starts to become other people. Other people are influencing the child, as well as social media to a certain extent, but very abstract. Like you get all this through a very abstract lens. Like it's wild movie. I don't want to spoil it in case somebody wants to see it. It came out in 2019, but it's very weird. Like very weird.
so Ieshea, I'm gonna let you know. I've known Ryan for 11 years now, and his movie recommendations, he's maybe like 2 for 50 with me, right? Like he suggests things, and I'm like, well, what'd you feel about it? Did you like it? Like, nah, that ain't for me then, right?
That's automatic.
That's kind of my barometer. Like that's kind of my barometer. So if he says something is too weird, because he's suggested some weird stuff, some stuff I can't even get through. I'm like, I cannot get through this. So if he says it's too weird, that's way too far out for me. You know what I mean? And I don't mind weird stuff. Yeah, I don't mind weird stuff. But that's the history there. Is that right? I don't think he's trying to lead me wrong, but he is leading me wrong when it comes to movie suggestions sometimes. I'm like, man, I thought you were my friend. What's going on
here? I like that weird stuff. But yeah, it's if you have not watched it, I'd say give it a chance. If you like sci-fi, if you like horror sci-fi, which is always strange. But this movie is a metaphor of a lot of different things that apparently are impacting Ireland just like they're impacting the United States. But I enjoyed it. You know what I mean? It was something to watch on Saturday morning. But I got to gear up, man. Like I think my class starts on the 16th, so I'm just trying to jot down some ideas for I thinking about consulting, thinking about it. So write down some ideas of what, that would look like if I were to try to transition into that. So we'll see how it goes. By the end of those 6 weeks, I'm gonna be like, nah, not for me.
The end of those 6 weeks, I'm holding on to my chair, trying not to talk. I'm like, oh. At the end of those 6 weeks, you're right. You might be nah. And then at the end of those 6 weeks, you might have found that, it actually might be the thing for you, It does, like different people approach entrepreneurship differently. It's really, if you're risk averse or whatever. And then I tell people all the time, if you're accustomed to, I get paid every 2 weeks. I need my stacks.
Right.
Don't play with my money. Entrepreneurship is not the way for you. However, as with anything, there are the positives, the pluses and the minuses, right? Being able to, I shiver every time I hear people say, I'm my own boss because I have my own business. Technically, you're never your own boss, right? When you have your own business, all you have is multiple bosses because every client is your boss, right?
Right.
So, when you work for somebody, it's either, as we say, the devil you know, the devil you don't. Right. Then also finding your niche though. Once you find your niche, like you might find that with your particular niche, especially in cyber, and as we've said, on other shows, the lack of having technologists in the field, cybersecurity analysts and experts in the field, there's more of a shortage, more supply than demand. or demand and supply. Honestly, I said that one wrong. So, it may just be, finding that group of clients that work for you, that you're able to work with, you're able to deliver to them what they need. And then, you're able to go from there. So you may love it, but again, no, I would never tell the recruiters to go away, but I love the fact that you're willing to take a look at that course, because I mean, that is phenomenal. I love that the military provides that to you guys. That was the other thing I saw that the military would do, was like pay for certain certifications. And, I really, I'm really in awe. I love to see that they're, get you guys prepared to go back into civilian war. But I think you may like it more than you know.
Right. So yeah, we'll see. I definitely want to give it a try. Like the longer you stay in, the more you're like, man, if only I could just work for myself. Because we have multiple bosses as well, right? Everybody who outranks me is my boss technically, to a certain degree, right? So it's like, how would it feel to not have to deal with as much of that landscape, as well as getting time back? It's the most important for me, because I have been away from my family for some time now, and I left at the beginning of the pandemic. So that was nothing but time with my family, right? Because we were down to like 25% manning. And like I said, you could literally, I can just go to the grocery store. Like, okay, I'll take this conference call on my way to Publix or whatever. So how do I get that? How do I get something that's similar to that? Because I really enjoyed it, but obviously it was safe. Like my paycheck never changed. So there is that as well. But again, there's advantages. Like when you retire from the military, as Shannon could tell you, like medical is not as much of a concern, because that's always going to be there if you so choose to keep that. You obviously are still getting a annuity to a certain extent. You're getting that retirement check, so you always have something in case times get hard and whatnot. And then, like you said, the military paid for all my certifications, so I've never paid for a certification on my own pocket. They provide me the time, the resources, and they pay for it. So I have a leg up in certain instances, but I also have not had a job outside the military for almost 20 years. I just recently started teaching and what have you. So I'm dipping my toe back in, to the workplace before I get to the workplace. So, I'm interested. Like it's another resource. They say, hey, you want to, take the education track, or you want to take the entrepreneur track? I was like, well, I got the education. So let me, experiment and what have you. So we will see. I will keep you posted.
Please do. I would love to follow along on that journey, because for me, it really was. It was a difficult, it wasn't so much difficult. I don't think that's the word for it, but it was definitely challenging, knowing that, you have a family. I worked for corporate. I was doing well. And then you have to make a decision, it's like, okay, do I trust myself? Do I step out on faith? And do I go out? Because like I said, for me, I identified a need. Like there was not digital forensics. There was not cybersecurity for the private, like for just regular people to just kind of walk in and say, hey, I need help. Right. And, but in my case, when I went out, I did it, but I did it ahead of the curve and ahead of all of the people understanding what digital forensics and cybersecurity were, right? So I'm out there and I'm literally going down this path with this machete, and I'm like,
right.
and so that'll give you burnout in a way, because you feel like you start questioning a lot of things, like, did I make the right decisions? But at the same time, it's very rewarding to know you control certain aspects of what you do, but then, like I said, there's safety, and I know with my check coming, my dude, I'm telling you, there are some days I'm like, what did you do and why? So
gotcha. No, that's good. That's good. That's good for anybody listening who's thinking about it, right? Because we talk a lot about on our show trying to open up the field, get more people in. So we talked to a lot of people who are trying to get entry level and whatnot. But there are other people who listen who may already be in that on that path and like, you know what, I've been doing cyber, for X amount of years for someone else. Like what does it look like to own my own business, or to not necessarily just own it just by yourself? Like what if I go in with a business partner or
Right.
things of that nature, right? So you kind of share that risk with someone else.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's interesting. Like again, like maybe something we bring up in the future. Like after I get all of the resources and whatnot they give me, we come back to this topic and I can discuss what they taught me, and you can tell me what the real world looks like.
I can't.
So
I'll happily do that. Just remember,
right.
If you're out here on your own, you wear all the hats.
Right.
Oh,
right. So that part is like that part doesn't really bother me, but like you said, it's where's my money at? Because it's stable. I've had stable income for almost 2 decades, right? So that is a transition. Paycheck never, not once have they been like, oh yeah, we didn't deposit that money in the account. No, it's always there. Always there. It's always consistent. So there is that. Yeah. But anything you want to talk about for the future, put people on? Because we'll have all your links in the description. So definitely, if you're listening, please follow Ieshea on all her social media accounts. Please go to her master classes. She's producing a lot of great content, and there will be a show in the future. We always talk about that every time you pop up. There's a show coming. So I forgot, episode 111, I believe, is your last episode with us. Definitely tune into that, as well as tune into our interview with Ieshea, which was earlier in the year. If you go to our YouTube, we have a playlist with all of our interviews, so that way you don't have to search through 100, and I think we're over 130 episodes now. But what about the next month? So this was Cyber Awareness month. You got through it. So what's next month?
I survived. And that's how I feel too. But it was look, I love the initiative. I love it every year. I feel like I say every year I will not take on that much, and then every year I take it on again because I'm very, very passionate about it. I think it's really good to be aware and to know what you don't know, not fear what you don't know, just learn a little bit more about what you don't know. And it's always okay. Every day we should be learning something. November for me, I did, like I said, going through this, I think this one kind of hit me a little different because it brought in my cyber and being a parent and being a person, COVID, the pandemic, it really opened my eyes to a lot of things. And so for me, for November, the show is Closer Than You Think. We should be rolling. I mean, like literally, you're gonna hear about it really, really soon. And then also for November, we're not just doing cybersecurity just for. I'm doing a series called Making It IT Make Sense. And so with that, we're literally talking about how does cybersecurity or being technology conscious, how are we being conscious? We have the technology addiction, some of the things we were just talking about, the fatigue, not knowing how to unplug, not knowing how to be, consciously safe while being online. So we have a series of courses that are going to roll out, how to be consciously safe, internet safety, how to be consciously connected. And so in that particular series, we're going to approach cyber from 2 perspectives. One perspective is, in a lot of ways, we saw a lot of people through the pandemic start going through, unfortunately, divorces, right? They stayed at home for far too long. There was not enough on TV. They recognized that the Ryan to the Shannon, we don't even agree on TV shows. Come on out. Right? And so people start splitting left and right. And the issue became, if I was married to you for any length of time, you know a lot about me. i.e., you know all my passwords, but then you know all of the answers to all of my security questions. What is my pet name? What is my maiden name? All of the personal information that you didn't think that you shouldn't have been sharing with your mate because you're supposed to. How do you then separate and keep your technology where you still have an identity? I had a case where, and I'll be talking about this on my show, so you get a sneak preview to it, but they split up and one of the spouses turned the Apple device, Mr. I'm an Apple fan and I am not, turned the Apple device into a listening device and was spying on the spouse inside of the home because they had figured out how to turn on the device. There was an article, and I want to send you the link because maybe you can drop it in here, but there was an article where another young lady, she was just murdered because there was a stalking, a tracker was dropped inside of her purse. She had been being tracked from trackers. And so there's also that conversation too. How do you look for trackers? How do you know, like when you are near another Apple device and it connects, there's so many things that are going on. So again, that's why I say, I'm trying to take technology and make it make sense. And so we're doing courses where we're exposing you to, here's the problem, here's how it could have been used against you, and here's how you could have been safe, or just conscious about the technology in the world that we're living in today. And that's my November and my December, honestly, because those are the things that we're rolling out.
No, that's awesome. And that is practical, right? Because a lot of people are like, I don't get computers. Like, no, you get stalking. This is how technology can be used against you. Hey, I didn't read that article. That's crazy. So it's like a tile or air tag you dropped on the person. Wow. That is crazy.
That's really, and it's so horrible. Scary. Exactly. Yeah. It's so very scary. I mean, we have opened ourselves up to so much. We're putting all of our information out there, even with Snapchat. I mean, I don't know, have you guys seen that feature on Snapchat that will actually show you on a map where you are, all the way down to, it was like you can be tracked and we're just walking around with features on thinking, that's just cool, no problem. It is a problem. Right. Depending on who saw you, like who's you don't necessarily always know who's watching you. Be that a former spouse, that could be just somebody you hooked up with. Like we're so we'll do things, and then we're in a room with a person with our most valuable, we'll just leave things open or just kind of laying around, and you don't really know what connected. We'll go to somebody's house and connect to their Wi-Fi and think nothing about when they got up and they left you, and you've given that to them. But these are not conversations that are being had in regular conversation. And so people don't know, and it's not my job. It's like, I get it. It's literally, right here around Halloween. So when you're dealing around that area, things can get a little spooky. I'm not trying to spook you. I really just kind of want you aware, and so that you can be consciously safe.
No, that's awesome. I think we did talk about the Snapchat feature, because I remember Shannon was very adamant about it, because he'll do the social medias, just in the protecting of your kids, right? Like, because everybody's not your friend, and they just like, oh, I have so many friends. Like, those aren't your friends. Those are you don't even know who that is. Like,
those are potential attack vectors, is what those are.
Right. Right. Exactly. So no, that's great. And again, it's practical, like things that people are doing, like with the Wi-Fi thing. I always do the opposite. Like when I teach it, I do the opposite. I'm like, because there was a funny Vine where there's a couple, and they go to his friend's house, and they go knock on the door, and her phone chimes because it connects to the Wi-Fi, because she's been there before. It's 7 seconds, but it's hilarious to me because I get it, right? I'm like, oh, Dora kicked in, she got a new IP address because she's been there before and no recognize her device. But other people were just like, I don't get it. And then you explain to them like what just happened. Like in that 7 seconds, you found out that your significant other is for the streets. So, so I think that's pretty cool. Like when you can take something that it's either humorous or practical, and then you can show like this is how technology makes it happen. So I think that's a great initiative, and I can't wait to hear more about it on your show.
Oh my, yes.
And we will definitely advertise it once you start to publish.
Thank you. I appreciate that so much.
No problem. But I think it's time to land this plane. It's been a great episode. I thank you so much for popping in. You're the very first person to be on multiple episodes in 1 week. So you definitely honorary co-host. You christened the weekly podcast to let other people in. Like we might have Gabe on or somebody like that as well in the future. But you're definitely a busy person. So next time we can get you on, it won't be as short notice. I promise. It won't be like, hey, can you be on the next 7 hours? So we'll definitely schedule out a little bit further because I know you're busy, but it was a great episode. I will this will be one of the first weekly rundowns that I will publish part of it on LinkedIn just to give people a taste, like that first 10 minutes to get them, to pull them over because you can't have more than a 10-minute long video on LinkedIn. But thank you, Shannon. Thank you, Ieshea. Again, always a great to have you on the show, Ieshea. Shannon, he's cool. He's around. I don't think Shannon, you've missed one episode. You've only missed one episode out of almost 140 episodes. So it's pretty impressive. Yep, only one.
Amazing.
But definitely continue to tune in if you're listening or watching. I promise to publish more stuff, more content if you're on my social medias. Thanks to Tabitha Donald, who is a social media, I would say marketing consultant, right? So she gave me some tips for free. So hit her up on her LinkedIn. She's always giving out really good tips. I'm trying to find, I think it's Tabitha, last name Donald, Donnell. I don't have her links yet, but I'm going to definitely put them in the description. She gives out really good content. She's very supportive of the people who follow her. So just give her a quick shout out. And I'll put her in the description in case you didn't make it to through the 45-minute episode. Shame on you. Hit us up on the website, www.theothersideofthefirewall.com, where you get to all our social medias. You can hit me up personally. I'm at RyRy Security Guy. That's RYRY Security Guy. I'm on LinkedIn, Twitter, TikTok, and Clubhouse. And you, Ieshea?
I am as well. I am, you can hit me up. Well, we have our Dorensic page, which is www.dorensic.com. Ieshea, we're at Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn for sure. And then Ieshea Speaks, which is also me, which is on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Yeah, that's where you find me.
There you go. All right. Definitely appreciate it. For everybody out there listening, stay safe, stay secure.